This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Britain and, in fact, the world said a final goodbye to Queen Elizabeth II today. Her state funeral drew presidents and kings, princes and prime ministers, and crowds who massed along the streets of London to honor her and her 70 years on the throne. CBC's Thomas Daigle was there.
It was a day planned for decades, but also one that many in Britain could never imagine. As Queen Elizabeth's coffin draped in the royal standard was brought to Westminster Abbey, it all became real. London hasn't seen this many foreign dignitaries assembled in the same place for generations. And the royal family has never mourned a monarch who served for this long.
We come to this house of God, to a place of prayer, to a church where remembrance and hope are sacred duties. Here, where Queen Elizabeth was married and crowned, we gather from across the nation, from the Commonwealth, and from the nations of the world, to mourn our loss.
Former British prime ministers have all said they counted on Elizabeth's wise words. 15th in the Queen's reign, Liz Truss only got one audience before the monarch's passing.
Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me.
As emotional and symbolic as the funeral was, some of the most striking scenes were still to come. With the gun carriage transporting the Queen's coffin across central London, her family followed. Crowds lined the route to say their final goodbyes as Elizabeth left London one last time. The hearse taking the motorway for Windsor, where the Queen lived as a child and again through the pandemic. The 5-kilometer-long walk leading to the castle served as the backdrop as locals who considered her a neighbor and royal fans from abroad all came to view the Queen's coffin. Carefully carried up the west steps of St. George's Chapel and into the committal service.
We have come together to commit into the hands of God the soul of his servant, Queen Elizabeth.
The Dean of Windsor led the service. The Queen knew him and this 15th century Gothic church where she came to worship. The same place she witnessed weddings and the funeral of her beloved husband just last year. None of those moments were like this one. As the royal jeweler removed the ornate instruments of state, the monarch's orb and scepter and the imperial state crown, it signaled the end of the era of Queen Elizabeth II. King Charles watched with his time as monarch only beginning. His reign won't eclipse his mother's, and this day reminded everyone of its magnitude.
The Queen's final resting place is next to that of her late husband, Prince Philip. This place has seen 1,000 years of royal history, and this moment is as significant as any. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Windsor, England.
Manitobans honored the Queen in their own way today. The CBC's Joanne Roberts shows us how.
The province held a gun salute this morning in honor of the late Queen. 4 cannons fired 96 shots, one for each year of her life. Karen Croft was one of a couple hundred people who watched the traditional ceremony. Croft said she got up early to pay tribute to the Queen.
70 years is a long time. She's a wonderful example to all of us.
Lisa Bland was conflicted about coming to the salute. The strained relationships between the Indigenous community and the monarchy meant her daughter had to convince her to attend.
For me, it's like a kind of a bittersweet kind of thing. I didn't, I sympathize for the family, and I feel their loss and their pain and that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm torn about it.
The main thing for me is I'm wearing this today because of the residential school survivors, all the children that never made it home.
Dwight McCauley knows the royal traditions well. He was part of the team that organized royal visits. He met the Queen several times in Manitoba and at Windsor Castle.
Getting to meet the Queen was Surreal is really the only thing I can. It's very special, very, very special, and I was honored to have been working on those visits and had the chance to meet her.
St. John's Anglican Cathedral is preparing for a special service tonight. It will mark history for the church in different ways.
Even though it's a Christian service, I have invited many interfaith people as well. So we'll have, actually for the first time, a Jewish cantor singing the psalm here. We have a number of Muslims coming. We have a wide variety of interfaith guests, as she would have wanted, of course.
Dean Paul Johnson said it was important for the church to take part in memorializing the Queen. He says his congregation is an older one, and many of them witnessed iconic royal events throughout their lives.
The vast majority of people here at the cathedral feel a connection, certainly with her, and I think to some extent still the monarchy.
The memorial at St. John's Anglican Cathedral is by invitation, as the church could only accommodate 300 people. It said it was important to be able to share the memorial with everyone who would have liked to attend, so it will be streamed online starting at 7. Joanne Roberts, CBC News, Winnipeg.
We will bring you more on how Canadians are remembering the Queen in just a moment. But first, to Winnipeg's downtown, where crime and safety have long been concerns. Some say drug use and homelessness have gotten so bad they hardly recognize the area. Tonight, CBC's Austin Grabish begins a 3-part series looking at downtown.
In the heart of downtown, this is where some of the most vulnerable live.
This is not my downtown Winnipeg.
Kathleen Gibbons doesn't feel safe here, or waiting inside a bus shack for transit.
I'm not going to go in there when they're passing the bottle around or the joint or whatever, or the meth pipe.
With broken glass and bus shacks looking like this and needles on the ground, some say they don't feel comfortable coming downtown.
I think they should remove the bus shelters because it's not anymore utilized by the commuters because they're afraid to go inside.
University of Winnipeg student Bridget Tadeo has been in the city for about 9 months.
For safety, I don't think it's a good place to live in because every day we hear the siren of the ambulance or the firefighters.
And Homelessness Winnipeg says low-income transitional housing is needed.
We need resources, daytime resources, where our relatives on the streets can go.
Downtown Winnipeg Biz CEO Kate Fensky says there isn't a silver bullet.
It's not just a downtown problem. We do have concerns citywide, and it's not just Winnipeg right now. Cities across Canada are experiencing this, downtowns as well.
She says the Downtown Community Safety Partnership is making a difference by patrolling the area 24/7 and connecting some of the city's most vulnerable with resources. But she says the pilot program needs sustainable, permanent funding.
We could grow that program threefold, and I think that would make a big difference.
Gibbons is blunt with how she feels.
I think Winnipeg as a whole is going downhill. I'm not proud to live here, but I'm 73 years old. I'm here.
She wants the downtown to become a major issue in the mayoral race. Her message to the city's next mayor:
please take the homeless people into consideration. You know, they're people too.
People who are struggling in plain sight. Austin Grabish, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Hurricane Fiona made landfall over the Dominican Republic today. It's expected to intensify as it continues on a northward path in the Atlantic Ocean. As CBC's Cameron McIntosh reports, the governor of Puerto Rico calls the damage there catastrophic.
At first light, the first attempts at cleanup after winds packing 140 kilometers an hour swept the island, scattering trees and power lines, initially knocking out power to more than 3 million people, while flooding from up to 76 centimeters of rain in some places wiped out critical roads and connections, including this bridge installed after Hurricane Maria. Hospitals evacuated, while many people fled their homes. We're here because the house is in a flood zone and it's not in very good condition, says Indua Correa Gonzalez, in a shelter with his mother. I'm worried because it's an old house and it needs repairs. We'll see what happens. Damage, injuries are just starting to be assessed. It'll take days to fully restore power on an island still recovering from 2017's Hurricane Maria, which struck 5 years ago this week, killing more than 3,000 people and wiping out the power grid. Officials say lessons were learned there. Emergency provisions have been stashed around the island, including water. Hundreds of thousands are currently without. Still, by early assessments, the damage won't be as bad as 2017.
We're basically responding at this point. The next step will be recovery. We're not there yet.
That's not to say it's not severe. Flooding along the Guanibo River is already higher than 2017, up 5 meters in just 24 hours.
Unfortunately, the situation in Puerto Rico is not good and not looking to improve until later today when these bans finally start to pull away.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency is coordinating relief in the American territory. Still, Fiona is far from done, also making landfall in the Dominican Republic. The hurricane expected to only pick up power as it tracks north towards Bermuda later this week. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Taking a look at your current conditions, 18 degrees at the airport with still some showers being reported. 18 degrees at the airport, but look, the force is still 22 degrees. Temperatures in the low 20s and high teens around the province today. Quite a nice mild day, and hey, a little bit of showers. We're kind of used to showers by now, aren't we? 8 degrees up in Churchill today. Here is the system that's been moving through. We can see it on Futurecast. We see that by about 9 o'clock tonight, the worst of the rain is moving out of Winnipeg and off into northwestern Ontario. Some showers moving into the north overnight, and then we'll see some sunny breaks. Look at that, a break in the cloud in southern Manitoba by noon tomorrow. And then there's more showers moving through Tuesday night into Wednesday, leaving us with basically a cloudy day on Wednesday. So for tomorrow, 19 degrees your high in Winnipeg, a mix of sun and cloud, more showers on Wednesday and sunshine on Thursday. Your 7-day forecast still to come.
Weather update is brought to you by Home Equip, your trusted local source for Pride Mobility scooters. From sales to rental and repair, our team is here to serve you.
Local royal watchers have been pleased to see a familiar, larger-than-life tribute to Queen Elizabeth II. A giant portrait of the Queen is on display and will be for the next couple of weeks at Polo Park Shopping Centre. Do you recognize this painting? It's the same one that once hung in the old Winnipeg Arena. Julie Mihiliano was surprised to see it when she went shopping at the mall on Friday. She was an admirer of the Queen, and she made sure to take some selfies with the portrait to send to family and friends.
That's very good they put it here so everybody can see it, you know. And that's a pretty picture of the Queen.
I mean, I think she was led with amazing grace, grace and dignity, and was respected by everybody in the Commonwealth and around the world. Like, you know, she was an amazing monarch.
I think it's a nice memory of her. Yeah, it's beautiful. Love it.
Once the portraits run at Polo Park is finished, it will be put on permanent display at the headquarters of Impact Security Group in Transcona. Don't forget to subscribe to our CBC Manitoba YouTube page. Your latest headlines are all there, so is this newscast. So if you missed something or you want to see it again, you can find it. We will bring you highlights of the National Commemorative Ceremony for the Queen held in Ottawa today after the break. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News.